Hello, Laziali all over the world. Welcome to another episode of Lazio Lounge. We have to talk about Lazio Atalanta, transfer market. There are so many things to talk about. Starting with Lazio Atalanta, when the most exciting and funny thing of that match is Lazio fan chanting Bastos, Bastos to Gasperini. I think this sums pretty much everything about the match. Right, Alistair McKenzie joining me? Do you agree with me?
Of course, I agree with you. I mean, to be honest, it's about time. I mean, I'm a bit devastated it's taken this long for the Lazio fans to be chanting Bastos's name in memory of the great man. But I loved it. To be honest, watching it on TV, I didn't even pick up on it at the time, so I was very happy to hear your reports of
Yeah.
the chants.
Can I say I was there at the stadium and immediately went on Twitter and said, "Why is Alistair not tweeting this?" I mean, I thought you were like, ready. I had to tweet it for you. I mean, I wanted to send you a WhatsApp message, say, "Hey, what's going on? You're not watching the match?"
Also, I got it late because I finished work about half an hour into the Lazio game. So I put the game on record and I was watching it half an hour behind. And I got a notification on my phone that you had tweeted something at me. And I was like, I can't look at it because he's going to have given a spoiler about what's happening in the game. And then it turned out there were no spoilers to give about this game. And the Bastos chant was by far the most entertaining aspect of the entire evening, I think.
Definitely. And there was even a banner saying it's the hand of Bastos because in
Yeah,
Italy, I don't know if you're aware, a film came out of Netflix, I think, the
yeah.
hand of Maradona, and so Lazio fans changed it a little bit and put it's the hand of Bastos, which made me laugh a lot. And I think
No.
it's sad to say, but it was the most entertaining thing of the match.
Now they replaced the word God with Bastos, which
Yeah,
is
sorry, yeah,
even
E-
better.
even better. I mean, what can we say about the match? Atalanta didn't fly to Rome on Friday because they had some player positive to COVID, and they thought that, well, maybe the number could increase, so we will have to postpone the match. Instead, the day afterwards, no new positive, so they came to Rome. Didn't have any striker, pretty much. They had only Piccoli, right? And they had the starting defense. So, but we were hoping to see Lazio play much better, creating more chances. Instead, Atalanta defended with order, and Lazio had pretty much one chance. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, I think that's probably underplaying how weak Atalanta were. I mean, they were missing Zapata, Muriel, Ilicic, Malinowski, Martin Deron, Robin Gosens, Hans Hatterbor. I mean, um, Cup Miners. They're just missing basically every player they've got who can make a difference in a game was out. So they were only left with one option, which was to play a very defensive game. And I guess the worry you might have with that as an Atalanta fan is that's something they're not used to doing. Obviously, famously attack-minded team who are stronger, pushing up the pitch than soaking up pressure. But yeah, like you said, they still had a strong enough defense. They went and played I can't remember how old he is, 21 or so, defender in midfield. And they basically said to Lazio, go on then, find a way through. And Lazio completely incapable of doing so. And I think the most frustrating thing for me, at least, Vittorio, was that they didn't even really come close. I mean, there's a Kanye chance where he hit the post, and beyond that, there were very few moments to even kind of get excited about the prospect of a goal.
Well, I would say that Atalanta had a lot of players missing, but Lazio played 90 minutes with one man down. So, I think it was equal balance because what was Felipe Anderson doing? I mean, I thought, showing the starting 11, I said, okay, Felipe Anderson can really, really create some issue there. And said he was pretty much invisible for 94 minutes. And again, this is another question. Why didn't he sub him after 45 terrible minutes of Felipe Anderson?
Well, I guess because the only other option is one of these youngsters we spent a lot of time talking about in the last podcast, Romero or Luca Romero. And in a game like that against an Atalanta team that was that well organized, but not only that well organized, but kind of quite a physical Atalanta side. If you look at that defense, Demiral is an absolute monster, charging around, blocking everything. You know, they had Palomino there, they had Petzela on the left. I mean, these are big guys. They're big units who are, if they're up against a player like Raul Moro, perhaps Sarri was worried that he would just get dominated physically. But we also know the thing is, Sarri does have a hell of a lot of faith in Anderson. He thinks he's brilliant, thinks he's got this incredible, natural talent, and so he is giving him the benefit of the doubt a lot this season. The amount of games in a row he started before he was dropped at all, let alone the fact that he's willing to just stick with him in matches like this in the hope that he'll turn a corner. But a lot of people making the point after this game that it's been a while now that we've maybe not seen performances quite this poor from Anderson, but he's really not been on form for quite a long time now.
By the way, Raul Moro warm up for 45 minutes. From the first minute of the second half, he started warming up. And I think if he came in at the last minute, he would be already tired for how much he warmed up on the bench. Alistair, it seemed true, to be honest, that numbers of Felipe Anderson are not that bad. Because when he's on, he's really on. When he's off, he's invisible.
Yeah. Which is the eternal problem, right? I mean, that's something we already knew when he arrived last summer, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's why I was very skeptical of this return. When he's on, he's great, but unfortunately, there are a lot of up and down. On the other side, I thought, yeah, go on.
Sorry, no, I was just going to say one more thing on Anderson, which is I remember after the Inter game, when was it? October, when we beat Inter, and he obviously played a big part in that game and scored that controversial goal where Dumfries attacked him afterwards. And I remember writing a piece about him after that game, basically saying, even if, and you're going to hate this, saying, even if he doesn't do anything for the rest of the season, this has already been great business for Lazio, because spending only whatever it was, 3 million, I think, on this deal to get him in, when you have him playing at that level, even for a handful of games, that's already brilliant value for money. Which is still true, but I didn't actually expect that from that moment on, we wouldn't really see that Felipe Anderson again, because I think it kind of was from that moment on. I think the Inter games maybe the last top performance we've seen from him. And some people are even speculating that he was shaken up by the whole thing and the criticism he got for, if people don't remember, kind of playing on when an Inter player was down injured to score the goal. I don't know. Do you think there's anything in that?
Knowing Felipe Anderson, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, it could be one of the reasons. The thing is, when he loses confidence, he's done. So it's not like Milinkovic Savic that you say he plays you play him 95 minutes where he's not doing nothing and suddenly he does something incredible. He's not that type of player. But yeah, it's shocking how he can simply not show up at matches. The other thing is, as you were mentioning, we didn't have that many options because Pedro was out injured and Zaccagni was playing. So I don't know. Do you think that even if the season ended like this, he would be a good signing for Lazio? Because, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just has to get to a point where you accept that maybe his best position now is on the bench. And I think Zaccagni's been showing a real upward trend. They've kind of been going in different trajectories, those two players this season, where Zaccagni was very struggling for fitness problems at the start of the season and working his way into the team. Now I think he's looking better and better the more time he gets. And Pedro's been phenomenal from the start and managed to maintain that level. So I think for me, those two are kind of should be the starting two now, and Felipe Anderson can be an option from the bench.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
we don't have that option right now, but I think going forward, that makes most sense to me.
What do you make about Sarri's words after the match? He said that benching him, making the substitution would have killed Felipe Anderson. Um, yes, he's very much like that, but I mean, you have to think about the team overall, right?
Yes, you do. I don't know. I mean, it just makes you wonder quite how fragile he is, because you surely shouldn't be pandering to that kind of fragility as a coach. If you genuinely believe that it's going to damage the team to have this guy on the pitch when he's playing like that, then you should be brave enough to make the decision. But if he sees something in him that makes him think that Anderson's going to, get worse and worse after this as a result, I it does surprise me, because substitutions happen. People make them all the time. The thing that worried me more was that Lazio were really at kind of obviously missing a few players, but more or less at full strength, especially compared to Atalanta. But when it came to changing this game, trying to bring on players to make an impact in this match, I thought Atalanta, by bringing on Mela and Toloi, had kind of
Yeah.
as much quality coming off the bench as we did in bringing off on Lazio and Bassett. Is very little.
Um,
You realize, in terms of like unlocking a game like this, that Lazio had, you could say Moro Romero, but they're so raw still, and it just feels like there's so little
I, I, I,
for these situations, is what I mean.
I understand, but I thought when Lazzari came in, Lazio had another spark, and this happens every time Lazzari come in. And again, I wonder really why did his eye started, because that was a match Lazio needed to win, and so you would rather pick a defensive back that attacks rather than Isai. So again, I thought Lazzari when he came in was had had done something right, and you can see it from the stands that a couple of times he pushed forward and Felipe Anderson didn't pass him the ball. He had plenty of space. Instead, pass the ball back. So I think we could do a little bit more with Lazzari, but this is the perfect assist, because can we talk about the performance of Luis Alberto? I mean, I think both of us were really concerned about Lucas Leiva, because Atalanta is a very fast-paced team and Lucas Leiva is a little bit slow, so he could struggle. But instead, I thought Lucas Leiva played well, but Luis Alberto, again, not a very encouraging performance.
Yeah, exactly. And I think he is exactly the player you want in this match, to be taking control of it, to be, picking the passes that nobody else can see, to be stretching the Atalanta defense, to be lifting the tempo if it gets too slow, to drive forward from the midfield, ask some more questions. And I felt like Milinkovic Savic was doing that in parts, or at least doing his best to do that, but not so much Alberto. And yeah, like I said, I mean, used the same word again, but it was really a game. It was all about unlocking that team, finding a way to kind of find gaps, find weaknesses in that kind of line of Atalanta defenders, and that's basically Alberto's job as the kind of creative hub of this team. So yeah, I agree. I think it was a bit disappointing.
And Alistair, again, in modern football, free kicks are so important. The chance of scoring from free kicks is like 50% these days. And you're talking about unlocking, because Atalanta defended very well. We had a couple of corners in the first half, and we had a very good free kick in the first half. That was a perfect position, slightly on the left. Uh, what was it? 25 meters from the box. It was perfect to put it in the box and hope, we had Luis Felipe coming up, Marusic, Milinkovic Savic. Instead, what does Luis Alberto does? He tries to score from there, directly from the free kick, and the ball goes 1.5 meter wide. Corner kick. We have Milinkovic Savic, Luis Felipe, everybody there. What does he do? He tries to score from corner kick. These are a lot of chances wasted for a team that is playing against a team that's very good in defending, that will play 90 minutes defending. I think this drives me crazy, especially because, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember Luis Alberto scoring from a corner kick ever, right? So why do you try again after 5 years? Why?
Because we've seen some other players doing it this season, which has probably emboldened him and made him think that it's possible, and he was doing the right thing all along. I think it's quite interesting from these corners is what they seem to be doing is just crowding that 6 yard box. So I think he is basically, even if he's not necessarily trying to score directly, he's putting the ball right into that mixer really close to the goalkeeper, so that putting the goalkeeper under a lot of pressure in, right in front of the goal line seems to be the strategy I've noticed a couple of times. But
You think it's a strategy, or simply Ciro Immobile and all the players say, okay, he will try to
no,
score.
yeah.
So we all go on the goal line and maybe we can touch it and score ourselves, because he's not going to score.
Can I just ask? I mean, well, I obviously it was still reduced capacity crowds, so well done for getting yourself there. But what was the mood like? Because it was a game that people, I imagine, were very frustrated not to get a better result from, but also just generally this season has been a bit, it not been incredibly exciting for fans. So what was the mood like? Are there any particular players in general getting criticism or praise, or how did it feel?
Yeah, he's been watching Mihajlovic set pieces. I remember Mihajlovic scoring from a corner kick, and I was at the stadium. Well, at the beginning, a lot of confidence because you weren't there. So a lot of Lazio fans thought that we could win it. Seeing the starting 11, I mean, there was Calvini playing. I think he was the first time. And I thought, okay, let's go and get this guy and put him in some troubles. I think the fans started very confident, but then seeing how Luis Alberto was playing, Felipe Anderson was playing, uh, I thought the fans understood very fast that this was going to be a very complicated match. Um, I didn't see a lot of fans complaining about Sarri, because on social media you see a lot of fans complaining about Sarri, but not at the stadium. I think fans were more busy insulting Gasperini than rather insulting Felipe Anderson and so on. But yeah, you can see this is a team that's struggling, that wasn't playing very well. So fans weren't very happy.
Fair enough. Right, should we
Alistair,
move? Do you want to move on to something exciting?
yeah, before, I don't know if it's really exciting, but would you imagine in 2022 to talk about Wallace and Lazio?
All right, this isn't the direction I expected you to go in.
Well,
Go
it
on.
is, because Wallace has been sold to China, to a Chinese club, and in the deal Lazio made when we sold it to a Turkish club, I don't remember how to pronounce it, etc. Lazio had a deal that 50% of the next deal would go back to Lazio. So Wallace is helping us. He's been sold for very little. I mean, it's like 200K, but still 100 is coming to Lazio. So thank you, Wallace. Maybe something is going to improve.
I thought you were about to say they'd managed to convince this Chinese club to pay like 20 million euros for Wallace.
It's never going to happen.
Oh,
But
well, thank you, Wallace.
talking about defender, we have another news, because Denis Vavro is officially a player of FC Copenhagen. It was quite fast deal, because yesterday broke out the news. It's a loan, no buyout clause. Copenhagen has the right to buy the player in June when the season is over. Lazio tried to put an obligation to buy him, because that would have helped to unlock the indice di liquidità. But still, Vavro is gone. 1 million euro of salary is gone. So this definitely helped Lazio.
Yes, came as a bit of a surprise, I have to be honest. I was ready to come on today and say 1 week to go until the market closes, and still absolutely nothing is happening. This is something. whether or not it's going to be, the moment that releases Lazio to make signings in the market is another question. I believe you're quite hot on the financial side of this, so maybe you're better off explaining what this does, what it means for Lazio's chances of getting a Nicolo Casale or someone.
Yeah, well, basically, what happened is that all the money Lazio is saving now, so the salary of Vavro, the salary of Escalante, the salary of Lukaku, the salary of Alessandro Rossi, that are the only players Lazio was able to give away this winter, because Adekanye was close to Cosenza. We don't know what happened after that because he hasn't been announced. Lazio didn't make any press announcement, etc. So we don't know where Adekanye is, but we know that these players have been sold. So this money, Lazio can use it to sign other players. They have to be on loan. You cannot buy the player, but you can use that money to pay the salary of these players. So, for example, with Vavro gone, Lazio could go out and make a deal, a loan with rights to buy, for example, Casale, and pay the players the money Lazio save from a Vavro salary, etc., which I think is achievable because I don't think Casale is around 1 million euro of salary, right? So this is what Lazio can do. Obviously, you have to think about Verona, who is giving a player for free pretty much till next June. So that's the complicated part, I would say. But this is how things could go now with Vavro's gone.
Yeah, and a lot's being made of the fact that Lazio have a good relationship with Verona, having just done the Zaccagni deal very recently. I guess as well, it might come down to, the desire of the player is something that will be taken into consideration too. And if he does say to Verona, I want you to make this happen for me, then puts them under pressure too. So I don't know. I'm still a bit cautious with my optimism on
Yeah,
Lazio January. I mean, if you think about the fact that we came into this saying, Lotito's saying 2 players minimum, and we're 1 week away from it closing, I still think that would be pretty staggering if that happened.
So what could happen is that we sign Kamenovic instead of Casale. That's pretty much done. They just have to deposit the contract. Uh, and I agree on what you said. I mean, it's the 24th of January. We don't have that much time to find a deal. So knowing how slow Lazio works, then it's quite complicated to make it. On the other side, as you were mentioning, we have already a deal with Zaccagni. So, we can say, hey, we're going to add like 10 million euros. I don't know, hope less than that. And we can get even Casale and we will pay you everything this June. Let's not forget that this June, Lazio will have the 25 million euros of Correa, the 10 million euros of Binance. So Lazio will have money to sign these players. So this can be interesting. Unfortunately, pretty much Lazio can sign one player, not two. So at the moment, I think. So this is where we are. We have to talk about Patric as well, Alistair. Let's not forget. Because the news that break out yesterday morning is that Patric has a deal with Valencia, 2.5-year contract, but Lazio won't let him go. Because Lazio want money and Valencia want pretty much a free transfer. And B, because if we sell Patric, and I know this is going to be hard for Lazio fan, but Lazio cannot sell Patric because we don't have any other defenders at the moment. I know people would say, well, Patric is not a central defender, is it? But at least he's the most close player that can play central defender at the moment. How bad is it?
I mean, the whole thing is just bizarre. I think to begin with, I know Valencia aren't the team that they once were, but still the idea of a team of Valencia's standing, thinking that Patric is the answer to their problems in January is one thing. But yeah, and then Lazio being in a position where they're rejecting the offers despite him having a contract expiring in a few months. God, I mean, it just makes you wonder how we got here, how we ended up in this position in the first place. Because you would have thought if a team is coming in with money ready to spend on a player, any player really, whose contract is up, you've got to consider it. If it's Patric, who has proven time and time and again that he's not really good enough to be starting in this team anyway, then bite their hand off, take it.
Even if
But
they're not offering any money.
we just have no one left, though.
Yeah.
Is the problem? We don't even have Marco Parolo to come and play in centre back anymore.
No, no. And at the moment, really, we have Radu that we don't know what's happening because he's not back yet. Acerbi is out. And we have only Luis Felipe, who is just one yellow card away from suspension. So, I would rather put someone of the Primavera up, but, it's a little bit too risky. So that's why we are stuck with Patric. I know. I wouldn't never imagine that I would say something like that, but Lazio at the moment cannot sell Patric.
No, exactly. Which is like, how did we get here?
Yeah, this tells you how bad the situation is. We don't even have Vavro anymore. So
yeah, exactly. And it's hard to think of there aren't really other players in the squad who you could even mold into being centre backs. I mean, all our fullbacks, Lazzari, Maricic, who's
Maricic, probably.
Do you think? I mean, Maricic just gets shunted anywhere, I guess. But
yeah.
I see we did try that last season, didn't we, with Inzaghi pit in there a couple of times, but it was in the back three. So maybe that's the answer. Maybe turn Maricic into a centre back now.
Yeah, again, I would try someone of the Primavera, but the thing is, do we think the season is over? If it is, then we can give a chance to someone of the Primavera. If we think that we can still reach a position, Europa League or something like that, then you understand why you don't sell Patric. And the other thing is, we are still in the Europa League, right? It's tough because Porto is a very good team, but we still have chances. So, giving away your last defender, it's something that we really can afford if we don't sign other players. So, maybe Tare is, in the meantime, trying to sign another defender. So Casale and someone else, and then we can give even Patric away, which I think fans won't be disappointed if we sell Patric.
You've said this a couple of times now. I don't understand how we can think about even entertaining the idea of the season being over. I mean, we're in the knockout stages of the Europa League, in the quarterfinals of the Coppa Italia. We're 2 points off the top six in Serie A. Like, Lazio are actually still on course to have a pretty good season here. I mean, it doesn't feel like it because the team's not always been playing brilliantly, but they've done enough to keep themselves in the mix in all competitions. And yes, maybe by this stage our expectations have been raised by Inzaghi, and we think of the top four as being the goal now. But I think for a first season under Sarri, a top six finish would be good, and that's very, very achievable still.
Yeah, I agree, but I mean that would be the message if you sell Patric and don't sign anybody. That would be the message, right? Honestly, I don't think Sarri would be very happy about that, and this can create issue going forward. So I don't think it's going to happen, but this is the story, and it looks like Patric is pushing to leave because he wants to go back to Spain. They're offering a lot of money. Maybe he understood that Lazio fan doesn't love him, so. I don't know how things are going to end up. We could call back Bastos eventually.
I've been saying it for a while now. You know it makes sense.
The only problem is
both things at once. What do we need? We need a centre back and we need a Vice Immobile. Well, you sign one player, you get both things at once.
Yeah, the problem is you would play him as Vice Immobile, not central defender.
No, you can do both. Do one in each half.
Okay.
Start off up front, see where we are, and then move back to defence after he scored, 2 or 3 goals. It's right there. The answer is right there.
Talking about Vice Immobile, Caicedo close to AC to Inter. What do you think about that?
Yeah, interesting, and kind of Marco Parolo being the one who's coming out telling everyone about it as well. I mean, uh, it's funny. I mean, it's interesting how many of the Lazio players obviously have been either linked to Inter or like Correa have ended up actually going to Inter. But Caicedo, big Inzaghi favourite. It seems a bit bizarre given that things haven't gone brilliantly for him at Genoa. But I've
He
been
hardly
saying for a
played.
while now that you can't really judge anyone on how they do at Genoa, whether they're a coach or a player, because that club is such a train wreck that it's very hard to really make a judgment. So I quite like to see it in a way. I I know people disagree with that, but I'd just be quite interested to see how he did at that level, how
Well,
he performed.
I think the problem is he's pretty much been injured all season long, right?
Yeah,
So it's not that he didn't play with Genoa because it was the manager who didn't pick him. It's simply he was always injured. So you know that's the problem Inter will face. But yeah, I can understand Inzaghi wants him, but you know I don't know if the player is ready. Um, Last news of transfer market, because yesterday suddenly it came out that Saint Etienne, French team, was linked with Murici. They offer a loan with rights of 7 million euros, 8 million euros to buy the player, and Lazio's demanding something around 10. So the deal didn't go through. Do you believe it, or you think? I mean, Murici has been linked in the last 2 weeks to pretty much every team in Europe, which make me think, wow, he has to be really good because everybody wants him.
I was going to say, yeah. I mean, he's doing a cross-continental tour of teams he's been linked with. Are Saint Etienne not bottom of Ligue 1? I mean, I think they were. They're down there, thereabouts. I mean, it seems like yeah, an interesting choice to save them from relegation if he's their man. But yeah, we've had what Hull, we've had West Brom, we've had Fenerbahce, we've had CSK Moscow, we've
Yeah.
now had Saint Etienne. I mean, I think we've said this before several times, but these transfer markets every single time, every 6 months, make you realize how much complete bollocks is out there, basically, and it's very hard to really understand what's happening because trying to separate what's true from what's just been made up somewhere isn't always easy. So I have no idea. I just find it hard to imagine this queue of teams coming from Marici, but maybe they don't watch Serie A, so
Or maybe they know something that we don't know, right?
yeah, that's true actually. Maybe he's not actually a striker. He's a really, really good centre back.
Well, then we should use him.
And Vavro was the striker. They've just been confused this whole time, and they've been playing them the wrong way around.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows? Anyway, at least one player has have left Roma, so that's a good start. Let's hope that we sign someone else. There's this bizarre international break, let's call it like that,
Yeah.
this week. So Lazio has a little bit of time to recover and to maybe sign a couple of players. Who knows? Uh, what's your take, Alistair? Are we gonna sign a central defender or two?
I At this stage, I genuinely think if we have one signing in by the end of the market, I'll be surprised and reasonably happy. How
Okay.
about you?
Well, it depends. If that signing is Kamenovic, then I'm not sure about that. But
He doesn't count.
okay, okay. Well, it looks like Lazio is all in for Casale, which I thought could be an interesting signing. So let's see if we do at least that. Well, I have to be honest. At the beginning of the January, I was thinking two. So if I now say I'm happy with that one, no, I shouldn't be, and I won't be. But at least it's better than nothing, as we usually do. So
I've just been having a look as well. I mean, if you think about the squad depth problems that we've got, that essentially this whole thing is trying to fix. looking at the run of fixtures once we come back again, and in 3 weeks we've got 7 games, and they're tough as well. It's
Yeah,
Fiorentina, then
Fiorentina's the next one.
Milan in the cup, Bologna, then Porto, then Udinese, then Porto again, then Napoli. I mean, in 3 weeks. So this is going to be a brutal run once we're
Yeah.
back again. So we really do need. That's the reason we need these bodies if they can come.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I'm surprised that Luis Felipe didn't get the yellow card. I mean, everybody at the stadium
Yeah,
was convinced that he would have been suspended and missed Fiorentina Lazio. Instead, he's been good and focused and didn't get the yellow card. Again, he still didn't sign his new contract with Lazio under the issue. No news about Strakosha or Luis Felipe signing the new contract. So again, other problems coming our way in the next 6 months. But I think we have plenty of time to talk about this, unfortunately. So thanks again, Alistair, for joining me. Thanks everybody for listening to our podcast. Remember, you can support our channel on patreon.com/Lazio Lounge. Membership starts at $2 a month. And we'll be back as soon as possible if Lazio sign a player. Thanks, Alistair.
cheers.